before we start, if you're into real stories about love going sideways, hit subscribe. You'll want to stay for this one. I said it as a joke. One careless sentence over dinner, half laughing, half bored. If you keep acting like this, I told my husband, I might as well marry your best friend instead. Everyone laughed, even him. That was the moment my marriage quietly cracked. We were sitting in our usual booth at a neighborhood restaurant, the kind with chipped mugs and soft yellow lights. My husband, Aaron, sat across from me, scrolled his phone like I wasn't there. His best friend, Luke, was beside him, nursing a beer, listening more than talking, like always. Luke had been part of our marriage from the start. Sunday barbecues, late-night calls, inside jokes I never quite belonged to. I didn't mean anything by the joke. Or maybe I did, just a little. Aaron and I had been drifting, missed dinners, rushed kisses, conversations that never went anywhere. He used to ask about my day. Lately, he just nodded. Luke looked at me when I said it. Really looked. Not amused. Not offended. Just attentive. After that night, things shifted in tiny, easy-to-miss ways. Luke started texting me directly instead of through Aaron. At first, it was harmless. Memes, comments about a show we all watched. Then longer messages. Actual questions. Did you eat today? You sounded tired last night. Everything okay? Aaron didn't notice. Or didn't care. He stayed glued to his screen, sleeping with his back turned, forgetting the small things he once never did, like locking the door or kissing my forehead before bed. One night, my phone buzzed while Aaron was in the shower. It was Luke. I know you were joking, but sometimes jokes are just truths wearing masks. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, fingers frozen. In the bathroom, the shower kept running. Too long. And for the first time, I wondered, had I opened a door I couldn't close? The message sat there, glowing in my hand, long after the screen should have gone dark. I didn't reply that night. I told myself silence was a mature choice, the safe one. But silence has a way of inviting more noise. Luke didn't push. That almost made it worse. Over the next week, Aaron grew more distant. Somehow, he started staying late at work. His phone was always face down now, like he'd learned a new habit without telling me. When I spoke, he answered with short sounds. Not words. Sounds. As if language between us had expired. Luke, on the other hand, noticed everything. He noticed when I cut my hair, when I stopped cooking dinner, when I started sleeping earlier just to avoid lying awake next to my husband. One night, Aaron said he was going out with coworkers. I believed him because it was easier than not believing him. An hour later, Luke texted, "He's not with us." My stomach dropped. I called Aaron, straight to voicemail. Again, same result. I didn't accuse him when he came home after midnight. I didn't ask questions. I just watched him kick off his shoes, avoiding my eyes, smelling like a bar we used to go to together. That was the night I replied to Luke. I shouldn't have said what I said. I was frustrated. That's all. His response came instantly. I know, but frustration doesn't come from nowhere. We met by accident. A few days later, coffee turned into a walk. The walk turned into sitting in his car, engine off, rain tapping the windshield. We talked about Aaron, about how he'd changed, about how lonely it feels to be married and still feel invisible. Luke never touched me. That made it feel safer, cleaner, until it wasn't. Aaron found the messages, not the flirty ones. Those were gone. The honest ones, the emotional ones, the kind that cut deeper. He didn't yell. That scared me more. So this is why, he said quietly, holding my phone. You didn't want me anymore. You wanted him. Luke stopped answering my texts after that. Completely. Aaron packed a bag the same night. As he stood at the door, he turned back and said something I'll never forget. I trusted you both. The door closed, and I realized I'd lost more than a husband. The apartment felt wrong without Aaron. Too quiet, too honest. His coffee mug was still by the sink. His jacket still hung by the door like he might come back and grab it. He didn't. Days passed, then weeks, When he finally texted, it wasn't a talk. It was to ask when he could pick up the rest of his things. Luke never showed up. No explanation. No apology. Just absence. I checked his social media, like it might confess something I didn't already know. Nothing. He'd gone back to being Aaron's friend in silence, like I was a mistake they'd both agreed to erase. When Aaron came to pack, we stood in the living room like strangers who shared a past but not a future. He folded shirts carefully. I watched his hands shake. "You didn't sleep with him," he said, not looking at me. "No," I whispered. He nodded once. That almost makes it worse. We talked then. Really talked. About how we stopped choosing each other. How I used humor to hide resentment. How he used distance to avoid effort. There was no screaming. Just truth. And truth hurt slower, but deeper. The divorce was clean. No drama. No fighting over furniture. Just signatures and silence. Luke didn't come to the courthouse. I didn't expect him to. Months later, I ran into him at a grocery store. We stood in the same aisle, pretending to read labels. He finally said, "I never meant to ruin anything." I looked at him and realized something heavy and freeing at the same time. "Neither did I said. "But intention doesn't undo damage." He nodded. That was it. No closure speech. No movie ending. Just two people walking in opposite directions. I live alone now. I've learned that jokes can be weapons. That emotional cheating doesn't need touch to destroy a marriage. And that loneliness inside a relationship is more dangerous than being alone outside of one. If you've ever crossed a line you thought didn't matter, or been hurt by someone who said they were just joking, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment. Share this story with someone who might need it. And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories like this.